Today, I'm going to be making a tabbouleh salad. So tabbouleh is traditionally made with bulgur wheat, but actually uncooked bulgur wheat. And the way to make it soft is you usually would soak it for a long period of time. So some people soak it for a few hours, some people soak it overnight. It really depends, how you would like it. We're not today going to be using bulgur. Typically like to find ingredients to make it a little bit more nutritious and add some more nutrients into those dishes. And so I'd like to make it more of a meal. And what bulgur is missing is protein. So instead of using bulgur, I'm using quinoa, but we're cooking the quinoa. We're not going to soak it. I've actually never tried that. If anyone's ever tried soaking uncooked quinoa, I'm curious, but we are cooking it. This way we do get a complete protein. This can be, a good lunch. And like I mentioned, something that's really, really unique about quinoa is that it is a complete protein. It is a complex carbohydrate. So there's really, really good nutrients in here. And all we're really missing is healthy fat that's in here, but we're getting the two other macronutrients, which is great. So what we're going to do is, in our dressing, we're going to add some olive oil. You also can add olives. They're not traditionally in a tabbouleh salad. You can definitely, the flavor will go really, really nicely. So what we have is cooked quinoa. So this is about a cup of cooked quinoa. I love this recipe also because we really use so many fresh herbs, which I love, especially with quinoa. It also goes really nice with the bulgur. It smells delicious. I actually walked into my house before I ran out to do an errand, and the smell of the chopped parsley and the mint were just overpowering and so, but in a good way, just so, so pungent and just welcoming. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some cherry tomatoes. So we're going to put in those cherry tomatoes. I actually have heirloom tomatoes because they were very much in season on Fresh Direct. So I got those and they are so sweet and delicious. So we put in our cherry tomatoes. The next thing we have is cucumbers. So the recipe that I've always used says to use two different types of cucumbers. They say to use a Persian cucumber and then a hothouse regular cucumber, but you really can use whatever you have. You should leave the skin on. So you definitely want to use the cucumber that you can use the skin on and not those green cucumbers that we can't eat the skin. So try to get a cucumber that you can leave the skin on, because otherwise when we take the skin off, cucumbers are very, very high in water content, and it does make this a little bit more watery. Good thing about this recipe is that it can stay in our fridge for a few days, and it actually, so the more it soaks in that dressing, it actually develops a better flavor. But if we take away the skin from the cucumber, it definitely makes it a little bit more watery. So definitely want to get cucumbers that we can keep. That's why the Persian cucumbers are really great to use. The next thing we're going to do is some scallion. You can put red onion in here. I personally don't like red onion, so I eliminate that. And the green onion, the scallion, is just a really good way to get some of that onion flavor, but not as strong as the red onion. And it also gives it a really, really nice smell. It has a nice bite. It's so delicious. And it smells really, really good in here. The next thing we're going to do is, this is the parsley. So we have some chopped fresh parsley. You want to chop it very, very fine. Everything should really be chopped, fine, just so that it's everything's uniform and looks nicely, especially our herbs. Already it's looking so nice and just smells so delicious. And then the last thing is, I don't like to put too much of it, but I put a little bit of mint in there. The mint is very much used in Middle Eastern cooking and in salads. It is a little bit of an overpowering taste. I happen to love it because I'm used to that taste. If you're not used to it, you can either leave it out or you can, add a little bit to try to get used to it. But it's very, very much used, like I mentioned, in Middle Eastern cooking. So it's delicious. So this is really it. This is the salad part. And then we have our dressing. So I always like to make my dressings in mason jars because I think that they just stay fresh and they stay in the fridge nicely. You don't want to use too much of the dressing. You can make, a bigger batch of it. You only want to use about a quarter of a cup of it because it sinks into the quinoa. Quinoa is one of those grains that it really gets in there and you just don't want it to be too strong. So the dressing is going to be the juice of a lemon, some olive oil, and then some fresh garlic, just chopped up really, really thin. You can also use it on a food grater. And then all we're going to do is, here I have a quarter of a cup. You're going to put that in there. You're going to mix it all up. And like I said, you can eat this right away. It goes really, really nicely in the refrigerator. It can stay for 5 days in there. It smells so, so good. It's so easy. It's a great side dish. It's great if you want to have for lunch. And we got a lot of really great nutrients in there. And we have vitamins and minerals and all of our macronutrients. So it's really a complete meal.